want another rap?
Yes, sir.
You want another rap?
Yes, sir.
You want another rap?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, President of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. To introduce the President, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take my seat finally and hand over to the CEO of Rich Management, the man who made it possible to bring Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni in the house, Ali Khan Sachu.
It's a great pleasure and privilege to host His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, at Mindspeak today. Mr. President, you have impeccable Pan-African credentials. I was telling the President just now that I was reading up that he wrote his thesis on Fritz Fanon. And, there's no one more sort of Pan-African than Fritz Fanon. And I feel that you've bestowed on us an enormous favor. I do not want to dwell on the past. The African history is such a long one, and we all know it. I want to look towards the future. And I believe we sit on the cusp of a momentous moment for Uganda, for the region, and for Africa. It was Ngugi wa Thiong'o who used a quote from Victor Hugo from Les Miserables, and in this quote it says, "There's nothing like a dream to create the future." And I believe as Africans, we have never owned our future as much as we own it today. And in Uganda's case, I think Uganda is at an inflection point. Looking at the data, Uganda's GDP was $10 to $15 billion a year, and you've discovered 2.5 billion barrels of oil, and this is of a value of nearly $300 billion. What some of the younger people here would call an inflection point in your history. Once again, I'm really grateful that you have seen fit to come to Nairobi on this private visit and engage us here. And when I heard the Museveni rap, I realized I was in with a chance with my business club. Come, come, whoever you are. Ours is a caravan of hope, not of despair. Mr. President, I welcome you to our 21st Century Business Club. It is a caravan of hope, and we wish all of us here to listen to what you have to say. Thank you very much.
The topic you asked me to speak about is the topic of socio-economic transformation and regional political integration. And that's what I'm going to speak about. So, I have been having a big war within Uganda because I could not understand how a country can develop without electricity. How do you become a modern country without electricity? But the sort of wars we have had to have, first of all, internally, with the civil servants. You find there's a commissioner of energy, which means a commission of darkness. The man is an engineer with a degree in electricity. But the fellow is not bothered about electricity in the country.
Less than 2 kilometers from where you're sitting right now is the leader of, or the man who ran against you in the last election. Now remember, I was there. They declared that you had won by what, 68% of the vote? 68. Fast forward, the man is calling for walk to work, whatever it is that he's calling for. Why not let the man walk to work? Right, hold on, because look, let's face it. You are turning this man into a martyr, Mr. President. And that is playing into those people's game. He's going to be a martyr. He's going to be on the news. You can see every network, and I wouldn't mention that, every international broadcaster. Those are the pictures they are putting out there. Mr. President, man, I mean, you
Okay, there are two issues there. There is no problem for Besigye to walk. Either to walk to work or to walk as an exercise. Whatever he wants, there's no problem. But Kampala is a very crowded city. We are still struggling with the problems of infrastructure. What we ask of him is, please, if you want to walk, inform the police so that you agree with them where you want to pass. In case you want to go walk through markets, because we have had history of some incidents of riots in the past. Because if you visited my farm, if you want to walk through my farm with the 200 or 300 people following you, surely you should inform me. Because in case my cows stampede and get lost, that will not be Christian of you. Now, what is the shop of, what is the garden of a shopkeeper in Kampala? It is his shop. So when you invite rioters to walk through the shops of people and the markets, you are like trampling on my farm. You should agree with the police how you want that to be done. You saw it was being done in the election. What was the problem? Basically, could hold whatever rallies he wanted, anywhere. But we had one arbitrator, the Electoral Commission. We all had to go and say, please, I want to hold my rally here today. Is it all right? Then the Electoral Commission says, yes, it's all right. Now, that is the problem. Now, but basically says, no, I will not inform the police. I will simply walk. Of course, we knew that their plans already. Their plans were to loot, to cause people to loot people's shops, so that they undermine our program of recovery and development. That's all. If he wants to walk, inform the police and you can walk. There's no problem. You agree. And also cooperate with them. If they say, here, people are selling their products, don't walk through there, you should cooperate. Now, those people who are putting on the internet, message and so on, they should... I saw one man, an American, a white man, I don't know what he is, I think he's like a mayor or something like that. He went and obstructed traffic in I think it was Washington or New York, and he was being arrested by the police. And he was not kicking police, he was not fighting, he was cooperating. That's how it should be.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Paul Kagame of the Republic of Rwanda deserves a round of applause for making time to speak to us. This is a perfect way to start the expansion of MindSpeak. Kigali is a fantastic place to start because, by and large, Kigali is showing us how things are done. Your Excellency, President Paul Kagame, we thank you very much for making the time to grace this occasion. And that's what we're here to do today, to engage, to learn from each other, to speak to each other. So let's open our minds up for that. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Ali Khan Sachu. Mr. Ali Khan Sachu is the founder of MindSpeak, and he is also the owner of Rich Investment, which you will see over there, and rich.co.ke is the website to see, to check out the profile of the company. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ali Khan Sachu to introduce the President.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you very much, Your Excellency President Paul Kagame. Thank you, all ministers present from the Rwanda government. Thank you to the High Commissioner, William Kayonga. I thank also the CEO, John Gara, of the Rwanda Development Board for inviting us here and taking such great care of us, and to all the distinguished panelists and participants. My name is Ali Khan Sachu. I'm the CEO of rich.co.ke. We started this journey more than 3 years ago in Nairobi at the junction. And the business club, it gives me great pride to be here 3 years down the road for President Kagame to have invited us. He's effectively taken us Pan-African. And therefore, it's a great privilege to be here at this moment. How can you shape your luck? While chance is an intrinsic element of serendipity, we believe that you can significantly alter the probability and the quality of unexpected encounters in our lives. And I think the fact that MindSpeak has arrived here is an exact example of what I'm talking about. Where we spend our time, particularly in virtual environments, right? Who we spend our time with, and that is exactly what has happened here. And while the world is getting flatter due to technology, people are watching this all over the world on the live stream, you can actually create the environment which makes things happen. And I think this is a perfect example of trying to create a new environment where we can make things happen. And this is ultimately the power of pull. And I think, and I'm not flattering you, but I think you're clear evidence, the best evidence I can find on the African continent of this concept, the power of pull. I think you've pulled us all here. And you don't have to have big resources in the 21st century. You've got to have intellectual capital. Really, if we change the way we play the game, we are going to start to win and win big. And we have everything in our power to do that. And therefore today, I feel especially privileged to have the one figure who I think has the power of the pull, who has shown consistently he can change the way the game is played, who can press, and who can really, really make a difference on this continent. And therefore, I'm going to conclude at this point and say to President Kagame, thank you for giving me this opportunity. The floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon. When I want to win, I speak from my heart, not from a written speech. So I came here just to speak from my heart. I had a speech written for me, and I looked at it, I thought it wasn't for this audience. It was... So, first of all, I welcome you all. I'm happy that we meet here this afternoon. I want to thank Ali Khan and the team here at the podium and all of you. Alan Kasuja, Master of Ceremonies. I want to say thank you for this opportunity. An opportunity to have a conversation. A conversation that brings all of us together, government officials, entrepreneurs, the youth, many people with different backgrounds, and all people that matter in our development, in our quest for peace and prosperity, are represented here, one way or the other.
Madame Lagarde who is going to be our guest speaker, was born in 1956, completed high school in Le Havre, attended Holton Arms School in Bethesda, Maryland, USA, graduated from law school at the University of Paris, and obtained a master's degree from the Political Science Institute in Aix-en-Provence. Admitted as a lawyer to the Paris Bar, joined the international law firm of Baker & McKenzie, and became the chairman of the Global Executive Committee of Baker & McKenzie in 1999, and subsequently chairman of the Global Strategic Committee in 2004. Christine Lagarde joined the French government in June 2005 as Minister for Trade, a brief stint as Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries. In June 2007, she became the first woman to hold the post of Finance and Economy Minister of a G7 country. Chaired the ECOFIN Council, which brings together economics and finance ministers of the European Union. As a member of the G20, Christine Lagarde was involved in the group's management of the financial crisis, and did you manage that well, helping to foster international policies related to financial supervision and regulation, and to strengthen global economic governance. In July 2011, Christine Lagarde became the 11th Managing Director of the IMF, and the first woman to hold that position. Christine Lagarde was named Chevalier in the Légion d'Honneur in July 2000, and this was the detail I liked best: a former member of the French national team for synchronized swimming. Christine Lagarde. I hope you get the chance to swim in our ocean. Christine Lagarde is the mother of 2 sons. Madame Lagarde, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you very much for your kind introduction. Very comprehensive, I have to say. Good afternoon, Jumbo. Bon après-midi, mesdames et messieurs les ambassadeurs, monsieur l'ambassadeur de France. You started with a quote, so I'm going to compete with you, because it clearly inspired you. And the one that inspired me, and that has actually led me to the position that I'm in now, but that has also inspired me during the course of my journey in my professional life, was a quote by Paul Valéry, written shortly after the Second World War, which, translated in my poor English, goes something like, "Let's put in common the best that we individually have and enrich ourselves with our differences." And that is, for me, the definition of diversity at its best, and the one that can inspire those. In French it goes, "Mettons en commun ce que nous avons de meilleur et enrichissons-nous de nos différences." And that is something that has guided me in my professional life, and that has certainly been inspirational, particularly in the position that I'm in at the IMF. I would like to thank the two of you, as well as you, Bob, for hosting, organizing, introducing me, and gathering this group of entrepreneurs, leaders, and representatives of various other nations as ambassadors or members of the diplomatic corps. And I regard you as entrepreneurs as well, because in your respective ways, you also represent interests, and you have to market those interests. So I include you in the group of entrepreneurs, most of you. Now, I'm particularly pleased to appear in front of you, and it's a rare privilege, actually, to appear before entrepreneurs. I generally hang out with prime ministers, presidents, ministers of finance, governors of central banks. And it can be incredibly boring. But it sure is repetitive, however necessary. But to be with you today is clearly to be with those that create wealth, to those who create jobs, to those who need predictability around their business, who invest in the future, who need to have a strategy, and who are actually vital for the growth of the country in which they operate. And you are, as a collective body, a source of the growth that has been created by Kenya in the last few years.
and thank you very much. I'm Jumbo. How about Alexander? Mambo? It is really, really wonderful to be here.
I hope that will be interesting for you.
Open plan, and you can see your colleagues in glass, and we needed to move.
I learned and heard that the computer is what is running the world, and so I wanted to know how this bloody thing here is running the world.
Hey, this is a fancy iPad.
Kenya has a pride of place as one of the countries with the most sophisticated intelligentsia in Africa.
First thing to ask you, am I achieving something within my life? Am I achieving, when I look at external self, what am I achieving? And that's why you say I've got a BSc degree in this.